Have you ever felt like what you have isn't enough for God to use? Maybe you've looked at others and thought they're more talented, more experienced, or maybe better equipped. But what if God could use exactly what's already in your hand, even if it seems small, ordinary, or even insignificant? Welcome back to the Passage Unlocked. We attempt to unlock the Bible one verse at a time. My name is Jim Murrell, and today we're going to be diving into one of the shortest, most surprising stories of all of Scripture. It's a single verse tucked away in the book of Judges that reveals how God works through ordinary people in extraordinary ways. Judges 13:31 reads as this. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, who killed 600 men of the Philistines with an ox goad, and he delivered Israel. That's it. Just one verse, no introduction, no farewell speech, no long genealogy, just one man, one weapon, and one incredible act of courage that delivered God's people. Now, the book of Judges is actually just a cycle, rebellion and rescue over and over again. Israel sins, God allows them to be oppressed, they cry out to him, and then he raises them up via deliver. Now, before Shamgar, there was a left-handed man named Ehud who had delivered Israel by killing the Moabite king Eglon. After Ehud, Israel once again faced enemies, this time the Philistines, and God would raise them up via Shamgar. Now his name, it's not actually a Hebrew name. It's actually a Canaanite name, which means son of Anath, which may even suggest kind of a warrior background since Anath was actually the name of a pagan war goddess. And that makes this even more amazing. God chose a man who did not fit the expected mold to do his work. Now in his hand there was an ox goad. It was nothing glamorous. It was a long wooden staff about 8 feet long with a sharp iron point on one end and in a prod or more of a flat paddle on the other. This was often used to scrape mud from the plow. It's a farming tool, not a weapon. Yet Shamgar used what he had. Not a sword, not an army, and with God's help, it was enough to overcome 600 Philistines. Now that number 600, I think it emphasized the scale of the faith and courage that was here. He wasn't reckless, but he was resolute. The scripture says he, quote, delivered Israel, meaning that act brought relief and peace for his people, at least for the time. Now this short verse teaches us a timeless truth. God does not need what you don't have. He just wants you to use what you do have. Now, throughout the Bible, we see this kind of theme going through. He uses ordinary instruments to do extraordinary things. For example, Moses had a rod. It's what God parted the Red Sea with. David had a sling, what God used to bring down a giant. And a little boy in the New Testament had only 5 loaves and 2 fish, which Jesus used to feed thousands. And then here we have Shamgar. He has just an ox goad, and God would use that to deliver the entire nation. You see, the power from all these situations never came from the object or the person. It actually came from obedience, which lied behind the faith they had. Now let's make a few applications. Number 1, use what you have where you are. Shamgar did not wait to be trained as a warrior or given a sword. He actually acted with what he already possessed. Too often we tend to postpone obedience until circumstances feel perfect. But God delights in using available servants, not perfect ones. What's in your hand today? A skill, a story, a talent, a tool. Use what God has already given you for his glory. Number 2, small tools really work in big hands. You see, an ox goad may seem insignificant, but when it's in God's hands, nothing is small. Never underestimate what God can do through one surrendered heart. 1 Corinthians 1:27 reminds us that God has chosen the, quote, weak things in this world to put to shame the things which are mighty. You see, it's not about might. It's not about the man or even the mission. It's really just about the master. Number 3, courage is contagious. Shamgar's courage inspired his people. Sometimes one act of faith can begin to spark a light in others. Maybe it's your stand for truth, maybe an act of kindness you do, or maybe just being persistent in difficulties. That within itself can strengthen people and help to uplift their faith. You see, when you trust God with what's in your hand, others will see his power through your life. Now, Shamgar lived today. He might just be an ordinary farmer, maybe a small town worker or someone who never got noticed. but faith through him has become unforgettable. You may never stand on a platform or hold a Bible or a title, if you will, but you can serve God faithfully in your own corner of the world, and heaven will take notice. Now, your ox goad might be your voice, your time, or even suffering at times. And something like that can help others to see your surrender to God and then in turn be a tool to deliver them from possibly their weakness or sin. You don't need to be famous, you just need to be faithful. You don't need to be powerful, but you have to be purposeful. God has already placed something in your hand, maybe something ordinary that he can use for something extraordinary. So the next time you feel like you're small or ill-equipped, remember Shamgar. He took what he had and trusted who he served, and then God did the rest.